within 4 years there is 8 6-month periods, 4 year, right? So now remember, at the end of the last period, not only the interest payment will be received, but also the initial invested amount will also be received. This was the initially invested amount, right? So now how to find the price of a bond? This is the question, right? So it's very simple. It's basically based on the concept of time value of money, and the concept says that you need to find the present value of the expected future cash flows, and once you add the present value of all the future cash flows, sum them together, that would be the price of the asset. And this principle applies to on any asset if we want to evaluate or find the price of that asset. So in this regard, what does it mean? It means if I want to find the price over here, right, at here, I simply need to discount these cash flows back. These cash flows back. So might be some people will be thinking that why we want to why are concerned about the price of the bond, because at this time this investor is already investing $1,000, right? So let's make this question relatively bit interesting. For example, this person who purchased who invested in this 4-year bond, and he is the first investor. So the company issued the 4-year bond. This is the 4-year bond. Total maturity of the bond is 4 years. Maturity period is the 4 year, and the first investor simply invested in this bond and gave $1,000 to the company. Now after a year, this investor thought, let's sell it to the second investor. Let's go into the market, right, and sell it to someone else. He cannot give it back to the company. The only thing is this, that he can go in the interbank market and try to find the buyer of his bond. So for example, after 1 year, he got the second interest payment. So after 6 months he got first, and then after further 6 months, so a total of 1 year, he got the second interest payment, and at this time he decided, let's sell it in the market. So how much period are still left in the maturity of the bond? When the maturity means that when the company will give $1,000 back to the investor, 3 years, right? So 3 years, right? Now in 3 years, how many 6-month periods are there? And why we want to know about 6 months? Because after each 6 months, the interest payment kicks in, right? So in 1 year, 2 interest payments are given. So it means that in 3-year time period, 6 times the company will be paying the interest. So 1 period, 2 period, 3rd 6-month period, 4th 6-month period, 5th 6-month period. I was not able to unfortunately make it right one. Let's do it relatively good, like, just match it equally like this, right? So this is 0 period, 1 period, 2 period, 3 period, 4 period, 5 period, and 6 period, right? So now, for example, over here, this first investor wants to sell it to the buyer, and the buyer try to find that, okay, what is the price at this point in time? Now the price will depend what is the interest rate after 1 year in the economy. So the interest rate may be different than the coupon rate. So the coupon rate was the interest rate when the bond was originally issued. So for example, after 1 year in the economy, the rate turns out to be, the interest rate turns out to be, rest rate is, or is equal to, say, 9%, right? 9%. So remember, for the second buyer of the, or second investor of the bond, these $40 payments will remain the same. The interest payment will not change. So it will remain $40, $40, $40, $40, $40, and $40 plus the originally invested amount, which was the face value, right? So now, how to find the price right now at this point? Remember, this point is actually 1 year after the bond was originally purchased by the first investor. So this was the first investor over here. Now the first investor after 1 year wants to sell it to the second investor, and the second investor wants to find out what should be the price which he needs to pay to the first investor. So simply we need to discount it back. We want to find what is the present value of all these future payments right now at this point, right? And so how can we do it? We simply discount each payment back and add them together. So $40 divided by 1 plus 0.045. Why it's 0.45? Remember, the interest rate, which is 9%, this is on annualized basis, but the interest is being paid twice a year. So you need, in order to find the required rate of return or the interest rate for the second investor at which he needs to discount these future payments, he needs to divide this 9% with 2, where 2 is the number of times interest is paid in a year. So for example, if the interest will be paid 4 times, then 9% should be divided by 4. So this will give actually the interest per period, interest rate per period. And remember, the per period is 6 months over here. So 9% divided by 2 will give you 4.5%, and if you divide it with 100 in order to get into the decimals, it will give 0.045%. And then you need to discount it. Means there is a interest component embedded into this $40 interest payment. So you need to take it out. You need to discount it, right, in order to find the present value of $40 at this point in time. Like, means right now, when the second investor wants to buy it from the first investor. Now the same thing we'll keep doing for each of the future cash flows. So this $40 whole divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 2. Likewise for third year, which is this third coupon payment, $40, you need to divide 40 divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 3, because from this third $40 payment we need to take away the interest which is embedded in this, and this interest basically accumulated over 3 period of time. So we need to take this interest component out of this $40, and this is the formula. We have to take the power of the denominator by 3, right? For the fourth payment, which is the payment which the second investor will receive at the end of the fourth period. Now I think by this time you might have been able to figure out that it should be divided by, again, $40 divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 4. And for the fifth payment, which is this one, right, this will be again $40 whole divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 5. And the last payment, there in the last period there are two payments, the last interest payment and the principal payment, right? So we can do it together, we can do it separately, but first let me show you separately. So this is what we will do. So this is $1.40 all divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 6, and then we have the principal payment as well, which is 1000, the face value which the first investor originally invested, right? So this will also be paid back by the company when the bond will mature. So 1000 whole divided by 1 plus 0.045 raised to the power 6. So if you see, there is a pattern. These $40 from your concept of time value of money, $40 which the investor will keep receiving, the second investor will keep receiving at the end of each period, it is showing that this is an annuity. Can you see this? $40, the same payment he is receiving after equal interval of time, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, and 6 months. So this is an annuity. And then $1000 is the lump sum payment, right? So if you do all this calculation over here, right, and add them together, so this is the present value of the first cash flow, present value of the second cash flow, present value of the third cash flow, present value of the fourth cash flow, likewise present value of the fifth cash flow, present value of the sixth cash flow. But there are two sixth cash flows, the interest payment plus the principal value. So another present value of the sixth cash flow, but the cash flow which is based on the principal amount, and add them together. This will give you the price of this bond. So rather doing all this calculation, we are very much blessed to have BA2 calculator, and we can do the calculation on this. So go over here. How many periods do we have? There are 6 periods left, right? Because there is total 3 years left. First investor wanted to sell it right after the first year, once he invested in the 4-year bond. So after 1 year, there will be still 3 years left until the maturity of this bond. But this bond will be paying the interest on semi-annual basis, like after each 6 months. So it means that how many periods of interest are there? 6 periods of interest, right? So 6 months, there are 6 months in 3 years, right? So N is your 6 over here. Now over here, we do not need to put the annualized interest rate. Remember, after 1 year, the interest rate is 9%. The interest rate is 9%. Yes, the bond was issued at the coupon rate of 8%, as we know that, right? But this was the reason why this this $40 is calculated, because when the bond was originally issued, the interest rate in the economy was 8%. So 8% of 1000 is $80, and because bond is giving semi-annual interest payment, so $40 will be paid after each 6 months. But this will not change. The coupon rate will not change. But after 1 year, the interest rate in the economy might change. So interest rate basically in the economy also determines the rate of return which the second investor wants. So for example, if in the economy the interest rate becomes 9%, and now this is the new required rate of return which the second investor wants. So we need to discount all these values based on this 9%. So over here in the BA2 calculator, the interest which we have to plug in, it will be the new interest rate. It has no connection with the coupon rate. So 9%, remember, is the interest rate, but this interest rate is for the whole year. But we need to plug in over here the interest rate of each period. So interest rate of each period is 4.5%. 9% divided by 2, because interest is being paid twice a year. So if 4.5 we'll put over here. Remember, we did not converted this into decimals. We simply put 4.5% over here, right? Now, what is the present value? Present value is the price which the second investor wants to find, what he needs to pay to the first investor in order to buy this bond. So that is the reason we cannot plug any value over here. But what is the payment? Payment is the interest payment which this bond is going to pay. And remember, I told you that the interest payment will not change. And interest payment was based on the coupon rate. So $40, this bond will keep paying after 6 months, after each and every 6 months. So $60 will come over here. Sorry. It should be $40. So $40 should come over here. So $40, first you press 40, then payment, right? And what is the future value? The last lump sum payment apart from these interest payment, it's $100. So at the end of the at the maturity, the apart from this $40, the bond will also pay $1,000. So this is the future value. Now let's compute present value. So present value turns out to be $974.21. So this new investor, if you see, this new investor will pay $974.21, right? Surprising? Yes, it could be surprising for some of you that the face value of this bond is 1,000, right? But why the price turns out to be $974.21? And there is a reason for that. Remember, the interest rate in the economy changed over the period of time. When this bond was originally issued, it was issued at 8% coupon rate, 8% interest rate. So this 8% determined the interest payment of the bond, right? This one, $40 after each 6 months. Now after 1 year, when the first investor is going to sell it in the market, the interest rate has changed and increased to 9%. So it means the new investor wants higher interest rate, rather 8%. So he needs 9%. So the comparable bonds, when they will be issued at the same time, they will be getting issued at 9% interest rate, not at 8% interest rate. Means no one will want this bond, this $40 interest payment bond, which was issued at 8% coupon rate. Everyone will jump to the newly issued bonds, which are going to be issued at the higher percentage, which is 9%, right? So this will reduce the demand of this bond, and the reduction in the demand of this bond means that the price will decrease and go below the face value of the bond. So from 1,000, if the 1,000 is the face value, the price will be lower. And this also explains us another concept. if the interest rate in the economy when first investor is going to sell or the bond is greater than the coupon rate at which the bond is issued, then the price of the bond will be less than the face value of the bond. Look over here. When the original when originally the bond was issued, it issued at the 8% coupon rate. So that 8% set the interest payment of this bond for the rest of its life. But after 1 year, when the first investor was going to sell this bond to the second investor, the interest rate in the economy changed from 8% to 9% a year. Now, for the second investor, 9% is the appropriate rate of return. He needs 9%. So, it means that the interest rate increased, and because the interest rate increased, he does not need this lower payments. The only way he will accept this lower payment is by reducing the price of this $1,000 bond. So this means that as the interest rate in the economy increases and it goes beyond coupon rate, so if it increases more than the coupon rate, the price of the bond, which over here 974.21, will be less than the face value of the bond, and vice versa. So if this increase, for example, rather going up, if the interest rate in the economy will decrease and becomes less than the coupon rate, then the price of the bond will go up, because the newly issued bond will be giving lower interest payments compared to this bond. So everyone will jump in and try to buy this bond, and because the demand of this bond will increase, this means that the people will be ready to pay more than $1,000 on this bond, more than the face value. So this is the reason, if the interest rate in the economy when first investor is going to sell the bond is less than the coupon rate, the price of the bond becomes greater than the face value of the bond. So it means the interest rate in the economy and the price of the bond moves in the opposite direction. So this is an important relationship to understand. So let's do a very quick example with the second scenario. For example, rather increasing this interest rate after 1 year becomes 7%. So rather 9%, say it is now 7%. So what is the per period interest? Remember, this is the annualized interest. So per period interest means, and why we are concerned about per period interest? Because interest will be paid after each 6 months, right? Each 6 months. So the per period interest, which again the period is 6 months over here, becomes 7 divided by 2, because the interest is being paid twice a year. So 7 divided by 2 means 3.5%. So each period interest is actually 3.5%, though for the whole year it is 7%. So usually the interest is mentioned on annualized basis for the whole year, but again, because the interest will be paid after every 6 months, so we will need to consider only the per period interest. So 7 divided by 2 gave us 3.5%, right? So let's do a quick calculation with this. So remember, still 6 periods are left. So 6, first you need to enter 6 and then n. Then interest is now 3.5. Present value, which is the price of the bond, we need to find. Payment, so that's why we will not press anything right now. First we will need to put other data. So payment is $40. So 40, and then future value is $1,000. So $1,000. And what did I tell you that earlier, that if the interest rate in the economy will becomes less than the coupon rate, then the price will move in the opposite direction. It will be greater than the face value. So let's see what we will get. I'm expecting that in present value it will be more than $1,000. So compute present value, $1,026.24. So it means that if in the economy interest will decrease from the coupon rate, which is 8% to 7%, then for the new investor this bond will be worth of $1,000.26 and 1,026.64. And why it is minus? Minus means it's an investment right now. So this person needs to pay the or invest out of his pocket. So the cash will go out of his pocket and get invested in the bond. So when you will press everything in payment and future value in plus with the plus sign, as I did, like 40 payment and 1000 future value. I didn't press negative signs with them. So when I will compute present value, it will give me in negative. I hope you learned from this lecture on the evaluation of the bond, that how to find the price of the bond. Thank you.